Moving right along with more Big Bang Theory, today I'm going to be taking a look at The Big Bang Theory Season 2, Episode 21, The Vegas Renormalization. This episode gets this title because in this episode, Howard's going through a hard time, so Raj and Leonard take him to Vegas to try to get his spirits back up. And the episode starts off with the gang, Leonard, Sheldon, Raj, and Howard all having dinner in the apartment, and they're playing 20 questions. First, Leonard is the first one being questioned, and they go through a series of clues to reveal that he was C-3PO, which Raj notes looks like a shiny Sheldon. Sheldon is flattered by the comparison, but just doesn't see it. Next, it's Sheldon's turn, but Raj gets it in one question, just asking him if he's Spock. Howard had meanwhile gotten a phone call, and it was Leslie Winkle calling him, and he assumes this is for another booty call, and he steps out of the frame. When he comes back, it's his turn, and they start to ask him a question, but he reveals that Leslie Winkle broke up with him on the phone call, ending their friends with benefits relationship they'd been having. The group tries to ask Howard what happened, and he basically says Leslie just called, gave him a no real explanation, and moved on very quickly. He's notably upset, and they're trying to console him a little bit, and Sheldon comes up with an idea. He says that there's a city in Nevada, referring to Las Vegas of course, that is set up to help people in Howard's situation, to get rid of their problems and come up with new problems, such as gambling addiction or alcohol addiction. Raj notes that this is Sheldon's way of saying Vegas, baby.
Or was that Sheldon's way of saying Vegas, baby?
And everybody's pretty instantaneously on board and plan to get ready to go on this trip. All except for Sheldon, who, although he suggested it, said he would rather have a blowfly lay eggs and hatch larvae in his auditory canal than go to Vegas. So Leonard says no problem, they'll bring him back a t-shirt, which Sheldon looks quite pleased with. We next see Sheldon arriving back at his building to begin enjoying his weekend alone, and he bumps into Penny on the way up the stairs. They begin talking, and he says that he is very excited to have a weekend by himself while his friends are in Vegas. He is going to enjoy the solitude, and he got a dish for dinner that none of them would be able to enjoy for different reasons. One, because it's Indian food, which Raj hates, even though he's from India. Two, it has a lot of peanuts in it, which Howard is allergic to, so it would reduce him to a wheezing scab. And three, because it has a special cheese in it, which, because Leonard is lactose intolerant, would render the room inhabitable shortly after he consumed any of it. They reach their floor, and Sheldon tells Penny that if she gets bored, please don't disturb him in his solitude. And as he's about to go into the apartment, unfortunately, he realizes one flaw. He has forgotten his keys and is locked out. And so Penny comes back out and can't help but to make a joke at Sheldon's expense.
What's wrong, Superman? Locked out of your big ice thingy?
In Vegas, Leonard and Raj are preparing to go out, and they are trying to get Howard to go as well. Howard, however, is distracted. He's on Leslie Winkle's Facebook page, trying to note the fact that she said she dumped him, and he wants everybody to think that he dumped her. And they note to him that she did dump him, but he says there's no place for truth on the internet, and he's going to stay there and work this out. Now, Howard seems like the number one person who would want to be out in Vegas trying to have fun, but I guess this current situation is keeping him down and out of his normal spirits. Back at the apartment building, Sheldon goes with Penny into her apartment to get the spare key. He's alarmed that she doesn't seem to know where it is right away and says that she should get a bowl like they have in order to know where the keys are, although his bowl is where he left his keys, which is why he can't get into his apartment. Penny then notes that she knows where the key is. She says she accidentally left it in his apartment when she went in unauthorized to get some milk for her coffee after she ran out. This alarms Sheldon in two ways. One, that she went into their apartment without permission, and two, she is the milk thief.
What are you saying?
It's not a big deal. I was making coffee and I ran out of milk.
You're the milk thief!
Sheldon said he thought somebody had been taking their milk because the carton felt lighter, and even though Leonard thought he was crazy, he knew it was true, and it was. He is then alarmed by Penny's suggestion that he should stay there and eat his food while she calls the building super to try to get his door open. Back in Vegas, Leonard and Raj are at the bar having a good time. Leonard even wins enough money to pay for his laundry for a month. When a beautiful woman approaches Raj and begins flirting with him, he takes a drink so that he can speak to her, and then is instantly trying to flirt as well. We do learn Raj's middle name here, which is Ramine. Leonard starts to pick up on what's happening and pulls Raj aside and tells him that he believes this woman to be a hooker. And Raj says, well, maybe he can try to do something about that. And Leonard says it'll cost him about $500 an hour to try. So Raj wishes her the best of luck with her future endeavors, but says he misses her as soon as she walks away. They then see that Howard is now taken to Twitter and is sending out some messages about how sad he is in the current moment. So they discuss the possibility of potentially hiring her, which Leonard is the first against until he sends out another tweet where he says he's going to end it all with a $20 jar of peanuts, so they decide to get an estimate. Sheldon reluctantly is eating dinner at Penny's apartment, and Penny's eating as well, and Sheldon tries to make a little bit of small talk, which Penny notes that is not necessary, but he says it's the social convention, so he tries. But as soon as Penny begins speaking, Sheldon cuts her off and says that's not going to interest him at all, so just eat. It's funny with Sheldon because he doesn't know these social conventions, he's seen them, he's learned them, but he just can't do it sometimes, like in this case. Back in Vegas, Leonard and Raj approach the prostitute, and they first establish that she is indeed a prostitute, which she tells them after she verifies that they're not cops, and then they begin to crudely negotiate what they're looking for. They're looking for her to sleep with Howard to make him feel better. Leonard and Raj are very awkward about this, which I guess isn't surprising because it's a very awkward topic to try to bring up.
She's from the mean streets where they shoot from the hip and keep it real.
But they eventually relay that they want her to sleep with Howard and they want him not to know that she is a prostitute, which she refers to as the girlfriend experience, and Raj requests the Jewish girlfriend experience. Back at Penny's apartment, Sheldon has gotten Penny to play 20 questions with him, and after 20 questions, she tries to guess, but she guesses Star Wars, an entire movie, which Sheldon is a little irritated by, but she gives up and Sheldon reveals he again was Spock. Shifting conversational topics, Sheldon asks Penny if she and Leonard are friends with benefits. She's immediately shocked and asks why he would ask that, and he says he's trying to understand this social construct. He says on its face value it makes sense, but he sees how it's made Howard very distraught since Leslie broke it off with him. Penny's very uncomfortable with this conversation, and why wouldn't she be? It is a very awkward topic, but Sheldon doesn't really pick up on this, so Penny has to outright say, "I'm uncomfortable, Sheldon."
I'm uncomfortable, Sheldon.
Which he thanks her for clarifying. In Vegas, they finally get Howard to come down by telling him that there are some giant shrimp, and when they show him what they're seeing, he's unimpressed and he's about to leave again. But the prostitute comes over and says, boy, would it hurt them to put out a nice brisket. This draws Howard's attention back. He introduces himself, and she introduces herself as Esther Rosenblatt. So part 1 of the Jewish girlfriend experience seems to be a success. Penny determines that the building manager is not going to make it that night, so she reluctantly agrees to let Sheldon stay in her apartment and stay on the couch, which he immediately argues that he can't sleep on a couch because he sleeps on a bed, and the couch is too small for him anyway. So Penny says if he's quiet and doesn't say anything else, then he can have her bed for the night. Back in Vegas, the prostitute is continuing to flirt with Howard, and he's enjoying it, but he figures out that she is a prostitute and confronts Leonard and Raj about it. They confirm that she is, and all he asks is whether or not they've already paid her. They say that they have, and he says, "Thank you."
You already gave her the money?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, there's the Howard we all know and are kind of creeped out by. And back with Sheldon and Penny, they're trying to go to sleep, but Sheldon is having trouble sleeping, so he asks Penny to come and sing him Soft Kitty because he is homesick, which is a kind of sick, so it counts. She does sing the song, and Sheldon thanks her for letting him stay there, but then says he's tired now, go away.
Okay, I'm sleepy now, get out.
And we end this episode with Leonard arriving back at the apartment, Sheldon coming out to get let back in, and what Leonard asks what he was doing at Penny, he said they had dinner, he stayed the night, and he now has a better understanding of friends with benefits, which gives Leonard a look of panic to end the episode. That was The Big Bang Theory, Season 2, Episode 21, The Vegas Renormalization. And for me, this is a very good episode. I like a lot that goes on here. We see Howard, again, having a little bit of an emotional side in this episode, and the fact that even though him and Leslie were supposed to be in a non-committed friends with benefit relationship, he had developed feelings for her and was very crushed when she decided to call things off. But he does bounce back by the end of the episode, of course, because he gets a chance for more meaningless sex with a hooker. And based on everything we've seen from Howard Wolowitz up to this point in the show, we could not expect much more. Leonard and Raj just get to have a fun time in Vegas in this episode, and Sheldon and Penny get to grow their friendship a little bit more. As I've noted a few times, the relationship between Sheldon and Penny that grows into a very strong friendship is one of my favorite aspects of this show, and this episode is clearly one where that would grow. We get to see Sheldon spend the night in Penny's apartment, and although she's annoyed by him, she does help him out, lets him stay there, helps him try to get in contact with the building super to get back into his apartment, although that's not successful, and then lets him stay the night, even though he's being quite an annoyance. Penny is learning to deal with Sheldon and his many eccentricities and even appreciate him a little bit, and Sheldon is learning to appreciate Penny for what she brings to their friendship. All in all, I would say this is a very solid episode, and I would score it at a 8 out of 10. Please let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comments section. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video, and keep an eye out for the next video coming soon.